Okay, I hope you enjoyed that first part of the clock theory and the verb conjugation. I hope you found it useful and it all makes sense now. The next part we're going to get into is sentence building practice. Okay, every chapter, every group of verbs we do, we're also going to have some sentence building practice. Okay, the goal of this, basically what we're going to do is take the verbs you've already had, the target verbs, we're going to combine it. Okay, you've already seen a verb chart at the top of your workbook page that said target verbs and extra vocabulary. Okay, so we're going to combine it with this extra vocabulary to make basically mini sentences. Okay, we're going to take, so we've got the verb already. Sorry, I should have this hand because it's on the end. We got the verb already, and then we're going to add something to that to make it just a basic sentence and really help develop this skill, practice it again and again and again, and make it more automatic. Okay. But just a couple quick notes before we start that. So obviously you've seen, because you had to click it to get here, is that little blue icon, okay? That looks like a sort of a movie reel, okay? Now those, what they're going to do, so this is the first example, but what they're going to do is when we're making our sentences, okay, when you're putting your sentences together, okay, for example, let's look at the first one, is I come to Korea, okay? And I'm not actually going to explain the thing I need to explain in this video, because I'm going to do that in the next video, make a dedicated video for this. But, okay, I've given you, and I'll talk about the subject part in just a second, but I've given you, so with this part of the sentence, we've already learned the word for come, okay, oda, and we've seen how to conjugate it. And I've given you in the extra vocabulary the word for Korea, okay, which is hangu. But what you may or may not know, okay, depending on your level or experience in Korean, is how to say to Korea, okay? So this is something extra. And so anytime I think there's something like this in the sentence that you need to be able to put the sentence together, you're going to see that little blue, it's red here in my picture, but you're going to see that little icon, okay? Because that icon will link to a video sort of on the front, what's it called, the lounge area of the website. It'll link to a video there, just a short little clip explaining what you need to change Korea into to Korea, okay? In one of the earlier videos of this series, I talked about, might even been the very first introductory video, I talked about how in Korean there's a lot of attachments, okay, that go on the end of a word, okay? This is the attachment here, and give that word meaning, and that's exactly what a lot of this stuff is going to be pointing to, okay? So that's what this little blue icon is all about. And in case you ever, I'll be putting all those videos on the same place, okay? So in case you're ever studying and you don't have access to a computer, you've already printed off the workbook or whatever, so you can't click that, you can always, as long as just when you do click the first one, like this one, just take note of this address, okay? And you can find, it'll be labeled the key or something. I haven't made it yet, so I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be called, but something like the key to Korean fluency supporting videos or whatever it might be. It's in the same area that this video is in as well, so hopefully it should be sort of obvious if you look there now. It would save that website in case you're ever working 100% offline, okay? But then I guess if you're working 100% offline, I mean, I guess I should say if you're working without the PDF, without the workbook PDF, so you can't click it, okay? If you're working 100% offline, you're not going to be able to see this anyways. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is about these subjects, okay? The subjects in this sentence, I have not included. I put it in parentheses to show that it can be there, but I am not including it in the translation when we do it, okay? And I'm doing this for two reasons. The first reason is that, okay, as it says right behind me, okay, my goal for you and, you know, this whole series is to help develop this skill to the point where it becomes automatic for you, okay? And so, while I think it is very useful to practice putting this stuff into a little bit longer sentences, you know, a bigger chunk of language, you know, what's called a lexical phrase, if you will, I think it's really helpful to do that. But if you start making the sentence too long, okay, I think by doing it this way, we still get really targeted practice and useful practice because we're now combining it with another piece of information. But if you start making the sentence too long, then I think it can dilute it a bit, and we sort of lose the focus on really what we're trying to do, which is you know, work on these changed and unchanged forms of the verb and apply them into sentence structures. because again, I really think it is the key skill. So I want to keep it just really, really, really targeted, okay? And that's why I've done it. That's the first reason I've done it. The second reason I've done it is that in Korean, a couple things, is that it doesn't necessarily matter. In this sentence, it doesn't necessarily matter if I had a I, he, she, you, we, they. It doesn't matter what the subject is. This part is still going to be the same for a lot of Korean sentences, okay? So that's another reason I've dropped it off, okay? And then the third reason I've dropped it off is that, I mean, just even in natural Korean conversation, subjects get dropped a lot anyways, okay? So if the subject has already been established, then you don't need to include it again. So that's why I think it's really, really beneficial. Those are the three reasons I think it's really beneficial to just work on this chunk of language as opposed to putting the whole sentence in there, okay? So I hope you're cool with that. Is there anything else? Let me just refer to my notes. No, that's it. So let's jump into the sentence building practice. You're going to see right away there is one blue video icon which will explain what we just talked about. There's two. So you can go down there. If you already know it, go ahead and try and fill those out. If you don't, click that video and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.